Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. In today's episode, we're covering a variety of headlines from Ron DeSantis unveiling his plan to shut down illegal immigration during his border visit to these pride activists saying, quote, "We're coming for your children." That one's wild. Wait till we jump into that article. Disney losing almost $1 billion at the box office for pushing their woke agenda. You have the United States military hiring for diversity quotas. I don't know what's going on with that, but we're going to break it down. And we have updates on Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the Biden family corruption with a bonus article with Kevin McCarthy supposedly going to impeach Attorney General Merrick Garland. So we got it all packaged for you nicely today, folks. Before we jump into any of it, support a true American patriot by hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave us a short, sweet comment down below. The question for you all is, are you still supporting Trump, DeSantis, Ramaswamy? Let us know in the comment section below. Things do change in terms of people's voting. Also, make sure you head over to baldbrad.com. Get yourself a shirt, a hoodie, a mug. A lot of you are buying these up, folks. You love to drink coffee with us every single morning or afternoon. Tea, water, anything could be drunken out of that mug. Maybe some whiskey, maybe a little bit of tequila for those that want to get a little bit spicy. Also, any of the links in the description below, folks. Get yourself a copy of my book, Trojan Horse How the Left is Destroying America, folks. Give it to a Democrat independent as well. Heck, some people need to be spoken truth to or red-pilled. We would love your support nonetheless. And folks, bigly, become a patriot today. A lot of your hard-earned money is going to these woke organizations. Put it in the pocket of somebody that actually believes in your values. We got a lot of people becoming members. A lot of regulars are joining the live chat. We love y'all. We got an awesome community. The community would love for you to join us. Become a patriot today. Again, would love to have you. Well, kicking this off, Ron DeSantis goes to the border and he says no excuses. He's going to shut down illegal immigration. We're going to go over a few of his proposals and everything he's detailed out, which is pretty extensive. But DeSantis hit President Joe Biden over the state of the border, which has experienced record numbers of illegal immigrants crossing into the United States since Biden took office. Roughly 5 million, that's being conservative, 5 million illegal immigrants since Joe Biden's taken office. It hasn't even been 4 years yet. So the Florida governor also took a swipe at Trump, though, promising to do more than the former president did to secure the border. Now, there is some truth to that, and I want to tell you why. Is because Trump faced a lot of opposition coming from the Democrats. It wasn't necessarily Trump's fault. If you recall, there's a whole situation between Nancy Pelosi and Trump where Trump's like, I need to build a border wall because we're having illegal immigration pour across the border because Obama was just president and basically didn't do anything about it. Now you're seeing the same thing from another Democrat president named Joe Biden. So Trump actually had backlash and he was going against Congress that was constantly fighting him tooth and nail to get this border wall built. And he was trying to do everything he possibly could to get the damn thing built. So there's some truth to what Ron DeSantis is saying, but you have to actually know the history of what Trump was going up against in terms of why he wasn't able to curb illegal immigration to the extent that he wanted to. So here's a quote from Ron DeSantis himself. For decades, leaders from both parties have produced empty promises on border security, and now it's time to act to stop the invasion once and for all. I love the fact that he's using the term invasion because that's what it is. February 24th, Russia invaded Ukraine with 120,000 troops. Granted, they had weapons. You know what's also coming across the border here in America? Is 5 million plus illegal immigrants. Some of them are terrorists. Some of them are MS-13 gang members or just violent gang members. Some of them are drug traffickers. Some of them are sex offenders. Some of them are terrorists. So there's bad people pouring across. And if you took a fraction of the 5+ million people pouring across the border, just a fraction, you're telling me that none of those could be considered an invasion? Like 50, even if it's 50,000 people coming across your border to do harm to your country. That's an invasion, folks, okay? That's an invasion. As Trump would say, they're invasion. They're animals, folks, animals. Remember when he got pushback on that when he called MS-13 violent gang members that want to cut off your head and use your skull as a soup bowl? He called them animals, which they are. And he got pushback from the Democrats about that. That was so head-spinning. Of course, they spun that. Like, oh, he's calling all immigrants animals. Bunch of idiots. So DeSantis goes on to say this. As president, I will declare a national emergency on day one and will not rest until we build the wall, shut down illegal entry, and win the war against the drug cartels. No excuses. We will get it done. I love that messaging. Now, he came out with a pretty extensive plan here that was posted by somebody on Twitter. I'm only going to go over a few of these. If you're listening on audio, there's a lot of bullet points here. I'm only going to go over a few. Feel free to pause this video or go to this lady's Twitter page and check this out for yourself. So the first couple here will end catch and release. If crossed illegally, you will be detained until your hearing date. I absolutely love this. I think it's going to be a little bit hard to accomplish unless you do stop the massive influx happening with building of a border wall. But also, I think there's a few other bullet points on some other slides that are actually going to make this attainable. We'll get to it in just one moment, folks. There's a lot here. So if you cross illegally, you will be detained until your hearing date. What Joe Biden's doing is he's allowing people to pour across the border, and he's giving them hearing dates in like 2027 and 2028, like 4 or 5 years from now. Illegal immigration is costing us conservatively like $120 to $180 billion a year. So realistically, you're probably looking at $200 billion. By the time their court date happens, that's like 4 or 5 years in the future. That we've spent $1 trillion at that point on illegal immigration. It's not helping anything. You know what you could do with $1 trillion in terms of infrastructure or inner cities or whatever it may be? You can build a border wall many times over with $1 trillion, and they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. Luckily, I have Trump and DeSantis want to do something about this, and Vivek Ramaswamy, by the way. Also, DeSantis will reimpose remain in Mexico. If you arrive at a port of entry on the U.S.-Mexico border claiming asylum, you will not enter the United States while your claim is being processed. Absolutely love that as well. There's a lot of good here, a lot of reminders of what Trump would have done. I do think the way he listed this out is really, really good. And it just shows that his head's on right compared to maybe others. I wish Trump would have had something very extensive like this when he was running for president. I don't recall that happening in 2016. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comment section. I'm not trying to hound Trump. I'm going to vote for him again. But I love the layout here that DeSantis does. Now, here is why I think a lot of what he's saying is obtainable. And it's in this first bullet point. DeSantis will use the military to assist the Border Patrol on day one, and they will continue to help until the wall is built. If he gets that military down there to actually patrol the border on day one, I think this is going to help out a lot. The issue that I see with this language, though, is he just says assist the Border Patrol at day one. Trump did the same thing. Trump sent, 2,600 or 3,000 troops when he was president, but he just did that to assist in administrative work, if I have this correctly. Whereas that would enable the pressure or relieve the pressure from Border Patrol agents to get out there in the field and actually do their job. Now, nothing against them when I say actually do their job. They are still doing their job processing administrative work, but Joe Biden did the exact same thing. Joe Biden said a fraction of what Trump did, but none of them went down to the actual border in terms of patrolling it. They were just doing administrative work. I want to see troops, boots on the ground, protecting our border so that we can curb this from happening, which seems like maybe what DeSantis is willing to do here. Furthermore, there are 600 miles open along the U.S.-Mexico border. We will use every dollar available to him as president, every dollar he could squeeze out of Congress to get it done. Now, you have to remember what Ron DeSantis was able to get done in Florida was because of the legislature. It wasn't necessarily because of him. I'm not trying to diminish him. I really do like Ron DeSantis. But again, if you look at the pushback that Trump got when he was president, very similar agendas on what both of them wanted to do. I think Ron DeSantis is a little bit more detailed than Trump's, but it's very tough if you have a competing Congress going against you, whereas Ron DeSantis doesn't really have that in his legislature, as well as what's going on in the state of Florida to oppose him. A lot of stuff he's getting through is because everybody agrees with his agenda. I love this last one, folks. The left tries to make fun of a border wall, but walls work. Israel built a 152-mile-long fence along its border with Egypt. Once completed, illegal crossings dropped by more than 99% year over year. Walls work. So much so that Nancy Pelosi has a wall. The Capitol has a wall. Oh, gee, the White House has a... Why does the White House have a fence if fences don't work or walls don't work? Why does it have one? We all know that they work. It's a bunch of head-spinning nonsense coming from the Democrat Party and the progressive left. Now, it continues to go, and I absolutely love this aspect of him holding cartels accountable. I think they're doing massive harm to this country, and for some reason, Democrats want to sit there and be lax on all of this stuff, but they're lax on anything that has to do with criminal behavior. Look at what Joe Biden, the Biden family corruption is doing, but furthermore, look at basically the destruction of leftist and democratic policies in our inner cities, or just our cities in general. Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon, Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York City. There's a reason why when we look at San Francisco, just businesses are fleeing there left and right. More businesses are closing down there. There's a business closing down there basically every week and getting the hell out of that area because it's so ran terribly by Democrats. You're seeing the same thing again in other parts of the country. Well, you have a question here proposed by Real Clear Politics' Philip Wegman regarding DeSantis going after Joe Biden here and basically shellacking him. Here's the response from knucklehead jean-pierre.
Great. I've got two quick questions. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is on the border, and he is escalating his attacks against the Biden administration, who, in his words, he calls, quote, the critical link in an illegal transnational human smuggling syndicate. I'm wondering if the White House has any response to that kind of rhetoric.
Wait, say that one more time because I have not heard his remarks.
The governor says that the White House, in his words, is the critical link in an illegal transnational human smuggling syndicate.
So I'm going to be careful because, yes, he's the governor, but he's also a candidate, so I'm bound by the
Go to the
Hatch Act, so
binder.
I'm going to be incredibly careful.
Go to the binder.
I'm not going to comment on campaign matters. What I can speak to is more broadly. And, I will remind you that congressional Republicans just voted. Literally, they just voted a few weeks ago, a month ago, for the biggest border security cut in history, the biggest cut in history when it came to the Default on America Act. That's what that was.
Just catch this, folks. And it's not just the Democrats that do this. Republicans do this as well. I just don't like when politicians do this type of politicking, if that's what you want to call it. You have these entire packages that are like 6,000 pages long that nobody's freaking read. It's filled full of pork and other means of spending American taxpayer dollars. And what they do here is you have this bill that's absolute garbage, and there's a sentence in there that says, "Hey, we're gonna limit funding to Border Patrol, whatever it may be." But because the package sucks, nobody in their right mind would want to vote for it. This is what they do. They call out that one little sentence in there. They go, "Oh, well, this is what they did. They didn't support this." It's like, look, lady, there was like 6,000 things in there that we didn't support, and you're just calling out one of them that we did support, but in totality, the other one sucked. So we figure, hey, if the pie's bad, if the whole thing's bad, even though one slice is good, I'm gonna get rid of the whole damn thing. That's the logic coming from those politicians. I just think it's gross. There was this happened years ago. It's probably like 5-6 years ago at this point. Ben Shapiro made a great point. He said, look, if you're going to create policy, if you're going to create these bills and these acts, have it be one sentence or a paragraph and not include thousands of pages in this thing. You should go line item by line item in what you're planning to spend and what you're planning to do. I think the American people will really appreciate that, because then we can actually dive deeper into all this stuff. But that's not what they do. They sit there and, again, create these 10,000 page acts and bills and all this other stuff 24 hours before anybody's supposed to vote on it. Like, who the hell's going to read 10,000 pages that quick? It's impossible. It's impossible. But these are what these people do. They don't care about this country whatsoever. And it goes both with Republicans and conservatives as well, folks. These politicians need to cut this crap out. They speak to us. We're in control. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Let's continue.
Part of that act was to cut border security, and that's what they voted on. And meanwhile, what this president has done, he has secured record funding for border security. He has record number of agents and officers securing our border, and is implementing policies that have resulted in significant drop in unlawful border crossings since Title 42. That is what the president has done. And so, I'm, again, going to be very mindful in how I respond. But speaking more broadly, I would say the question is to not us, but it is to congressional Republicans and what they have done to make this situation even more difficult by cutting the budget by voting to cut the budget for border security and not supporting this president and what he's been trying to do.
You can tell she doesn't even believe her own messaging. The fact that she rambles and fumbles through her words like that, no way in hell she actually believes it. Look, they've been pushing this messaging since day one. Since day one of Biden taking office, he's removed Trump's policies. They said that Republicans were making the matters worse. The Republicans didn't want to fix this. If Republicans were serious about it, they would come up and work with the Joe Biden and the Democrat Party on fixing what's going on at the border. Lady, you had all three branches of government for 2 years, and you guys did nothing. So don't give us this whole crap of, we're using this political pawns. We weren't taking it seriously. Oh, we voted on this. We voted on that. No. You don't give a crap about it because you had 2 long years to resolve this, and you could do it in a week, by the way, and you didn't. So don't try to gaslight us and tell us all this nonsense. Let me know what you think about that one in the comment section below. If you want to think about gaslighting and nonsense, well, gaslighting's gone here from the Pride activists, folks. They're being right out in the open. They're saying the quiet part out loud. Hide your kids, folks. Hide your kids, hide your wife. Pride members state their agenda. Quote, this is an exact quote. We're coming for your children. Hit that like and subscribe, folks. If you haven't become a member yet, become a true American patriot. We'd love to have you in our community, because clearly there's communities out there that want to target your children. This ain't one of them, folks. We want to give you conservative thought and ideas and protect children. We want to give the rights back to the parents. A group of progressive New York City Pride members sparked outrage after revealing the left's radical agenda it has in store for children. So wild. The extreme activists were unafraid to hide their plan to indoctrinate minors through their LGBTQ propaganda, something Republican leaders have warned the country about for a long, long time, almost a decade at this point. I mean, you go back to PragerU from Dennis Prager. He's been talking about this for a long time, and it's been coming out. We've been talking about this ever since the show's inception. Well, this is. I'll read you the quote, and then I'm gonna play the video. It says, Quote, "We're here. We're queer. We're coming for your children," the activists chanted while stomping through the streets. I mean, before they were like, "Oh no, we're not going to do that. Oh no way, that's weird. We're not going to do that at all." No. They're doing it. Let's try to hear it. And you have topless people there. Lovely. I've heard rumors there's children at this event, and people are dressed inappropriate, males, females as well. There was many Pride events happening, and there was actually like a nude bicycle event or something like that, and I guess there was underage children there, and people don't care according to the progressive left here in their agenda. They love targeting your children for some reason. The march included adult males dressed in minimal women's clothing and women bearing their exposed breasts at a Manhattan park where families frequently go. Others could be heard yelling, "We're here, we're queer, we're not going shopping." Lovely. Some signs read, "Groom sissies," and "Drag isn't for sissies." I mean, they are really leaning into this stuff, and the Biden administration is for it. We've said time and time again, Joe Biden and the Biden administration, actually, in today's White House press briefing, Karine Jean-Pierre's opener, I actually want to see if I can pull it up with you. Her opener was about this whole thing in terms of the LGBTQ community and all this stuff they're pushing. Let me see if I can actually get her words here on real time.
Today marks the anniversary of 3 landmark Supreme Court cases which were consequential in affirming the basic truth that every American should have the right to marry the person they love. 10 years ago today, the court's ruling in United States v. Windsor v. Hollingsworth v. Perry made significant strides laying the groundwork for marriage equality in our country. They were followed 2 years later by the Supreme Court's ruling of Obergefell v. Hodges, finally recognizing that LGBTQ+ Americans have a constitutional right to marry who they love. These monumental cases moved our country forward, and they were made possible because of the courageous couples and unrelenting advocates in the LGBTQ+ community.
Okay, the purpose of me showing you that isn't to go against gay people getting married. I'm libertarian on that. I don't inject myself into other people's lives, meaning I don't want to tell them necessarily what to do and what not to do. That gets on a slippery slope. We're not going to go there today. But if you're gay, I shouldn't say if you want to be gay. If you're gay and you want to get married, I personally don't care. Even if you're trans and you want to get married, I don't care. I do think traditional marriage based on biblical principles, Judeo-Christian principles, is between a man and a woman. But I don't think that should stop somebody from getting married if they so choose, regardless of their identity or whatever they want to be. The purpose of me bringing that up is the Biden administration is behind this push. We've seen them put out public service announcements regarding gender affirming care and having children be mutilated, having their genitals lopped off, being given hormone enhancers, puberty blockers, all those things. We've seen it. We have actually covered it here on the Bald Brad channel. We've seen images with the White House postings themselves talk about this stuff, and it's wild to me that they're all for this stuff. The grooming of children didn't stop there. Several marchers handed out pamphlets that promoted another event aimed at defending Drag Story Hour and LGBTQ and gender non-conforming youth. This is all about going after your kids. The reason why this whole thing is such a big deal is because you're targeting children. We let it go for years and years and years. We would talk about it and stuff like that. But the idea of you making a shift from, hey, we want rights for the LGBTQ community. We think gay people and lesbians should get married and all those other things. There was a struggle before. Hey, you know what? Have it, whatever. But now you're going after our children. Now you're having children being mutilated. You're having children making decisions for themselves on medical care that have massive future ramifications where their frontal lobe and their prefrontal cortex isn't actually fully developed to actually make those decisions. But we can't have that conversation because if you do, you're a transphobe or you're whatever phobe, whatever it may be. It's nonsense. Cool. A small group of right-wing extremists, has targeted DSH NYC events. We encourage parents to bring their kids and defenders to come dressed in rainbow colors and other festive gear to create a welcoming, celebratory atmosphere and drown out the voices of a few detractors. So notice they put right-wing extremists. So if you go against their agenda, you're just extreme. That's what they call you. Joe Biden does this. He literally calls MAGA supporters extremists. I don't understand it. It's so wild. Not only that, he called us a threat to democracy because we support Donald Trump. Isn't that crazy? And lumped in there, you're a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, even though you're none of those things. But if you could slander people, which is a tactic that we talk about in our book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America, pick yourself up a copy, links in the description. We talk about the tactic they use, which is similar to Mussolini's fascists and socialist agenda. This is what they do, folks. They'll sit there and slander you, which is why you might as well just come out and say what you're going to say, because they're going to slander you nonetheless, because you don't hold to their beliefs. You don't hold to their quote unquote religion. And when you don't hold to their beliefs and religion, you're extremist, you're a threat to democracy. And now all of a sudden you're going against them and their agenda. Who wouldn't go against them and their agenda when their agenda is to go after your children, of which it's not hidden anymore? We're coming for your children, an exact quote from them. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Now, because of this woke agenda is spreading all throughout American culture, and just America in general, and even other countries it's spilling over into, you have staggering Disney box office loses nearly it's so hard to say, $1 billion for recent movies, according to an analysis. This is wild. The Walt Disney Company lost nearly $900 million on recent movies, according to Hollywood Analysis. Now, some of these movies are pushing a woke agenda, which we'll break it down for you. The Walt Disney Company suffered losses nearly $100 million on its last 8 studio releases. Disney struggled with staggering losses despite numerous notable movie releases. The financial losses of nearly $1 billion were encountered during the release of the following movies: Lightyear, Thor, Love and Thunder, Strange World, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, The Little Mermaid, and Elemental. Some of those I think you know, and I think some of you know, some of those are go woke, go broke, folks, pushing a woke agenda. According to the Valiant Renegade, the 8 movies cost $2.75 billion, but only brought in $1.86 billion for Disney, totaling a loss of $890 million. Strange World lost $197 million, and Lightyear lost $106 million, according to the Deadline. Recent Disney movies have embraced woke storylines, like Strange World featured a gay romance. The animated children's Lightyear has a lesbian kiss in it. Elemental, which is the new one, talks about the evils of xenophobia and boasts the entertainment company's first non-binary character. We have to understand something. This is something I've espoused a lot here in the Bald Brad Show. When you have people working for your company and they want to push this agenda, they don't care about these losses, you guys. They will say they care. They don't care. In the midst of these losses and acknowledging the fact that these losses were coming from their ideology they were pushing upon Americans, and Americans have had enough of it, which is why they got rid of their Disney Plus subscription. That's why Disney Plus went into the ground. That's why people stopped seeing certain Disney movies, which is why they have $1 billion in losses here, is because of the woke agenda. But yet we saw leaked audio like a year ago with these executives, these high executives saying, hey, we need 50% of our main lead characters in any of our animations or our movies or our genres being part of the LGBTQ community because somehow they're oppressed or they're suppressed or whatever it may be. So amidst of these losses, insane losses, by the way, they're still pushing to the agenda because they don't care about the company. They care about the agenda. Even if the agenda cripples the company and drives it into the ground, they will push it. And Disney needs to wake up to it. I think they slightly are, because they're actually firing their diversity, equity, inclusion officer, whoever she is. They got rid of some people in Disney Plus. Look, they need to clean house if they really want to make a shift and just stop with the whole agenda. I'm not saying you can't have movies within it, but when it's every single movie and you're cramming it down our throat and it doesn't happen naturally, that's when it becomes a problem. Like, it becomes a massive problem because that's all we're seeing and we know what you're doing. That's why when you switched Little Mermaid to be black when she was white, it didn't even make sense with the story and even the logical location of it, and you were really force matching the movie, which I heard. I haven't actually seen it. But the issue wasn't her just being black. It's just what your agenda is. She's a great singer. She's phenomenal talent. Nobody has anything against black people, but it's the constant thing of, oh, we're going to swap out this Asian person for a black person. We're going to swap out this white person for a black person, this Hispanic person for a black person, like, to create that diversity and force it, when it's like, you could have just had another mermaid movie and created a spinoff with a black actress. But you're replacing an original that everybody's used to with a different actress, and then you're going to say, well, because you're not on board with it, you're racist. I'm not racist. I wish her the best luck. I think she was put in a tough position. She's a phenomenal talent, a great actress. I just don't think you should have done it. It doesn't make sense for the story. It didn't make sense with the original, but that's what we're doing. That's what Disney's doing. People are fed up with it, and that's why you had films like Top Gun that didn't even get an Academy Award for that great film that they created. Why? Because it's pro-America. And that was a diversified class or movie. You had blacks, you had Hispanics, you had women fighters, you had everything in there, and it wasn't force-fed to us. It was just like, hey, this is what the cast is. We're not even going to talk about it, and we're going to go along with the story because people don't want it shoved down their throats. Tom Cruise gets it. Some people get it in Hollywood. The vast majority don't. Disney, one of them. Quote, one of those things we will always talk about here that is perfect time to remind everybody is that Disney consumes all of its own content post-theatrical. This comes again from the Valiant Renegade. Meaning that Disney that used to license their big content out, like the entire MCU, to places like Netflix for years, those were billions of dollars worth of third-party contracts that have now been taken off the table. I mean, Disney Plus is completely shambles right now. So not only do we need to consider how much money Disney has lost at the box office, we also need to consider how much money Disney has lost in economic opportunity costs. You see, that's how much money they could have made had they actually taken these films and licensed them to Netflix or Amazon Prime, or even similar to what Universal does with a split pay one window. I think that's actually a really great opportunity and point being made here, is that even if you have Disney Plus and there's people that don't want to purchase Disney Plus because of the agenda that you're pushing, if you license out those videos to other platforms, you're basically opening up your market for other people to, I guess, quote unquote, invest their money into that film and be able to watch it. So you're kind of limiting yourself by pushing everybody to one platform. And it's so Disney, we're going to push you to our one platform so that we could push an agenda upon you. Valiant Renegade added, if Disney has taken the Universal type deal with those two major streamers, Disney would have a lot more money in its pocket. There you go. And they would have chosen to keep it all at home to support Disney Plus. Bob Iger returned to Disney CEO last year, replacing Bob Chapek, who Chapek, as we know, basically threw the company into the ground. But check this out. Variety reported that Disney cut 7,000 jobs. That basically is like 3.2% of the employees of the company. The company has about over 200,000 worldwide. And so this is all an effort to basically achieve a $5.5 billion cost savings. So they're going to continue to just cut because they're pushing this woke agenda. And that's what happens. You lose your job if you want to push a woke agenda, or you price yourself out of the market, or you do something that you didn't think about would have disastrous consequences. Let us know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you still support Disney? Do you go to the theme parks? Do you go watch their movies? Do you have Disney Plus? Let us know in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you. Let me get a water, folks. A lot of talking today. Water, what am I talking about? I got coffee. I got coffee and water, so voice goes a little bit dry in here. Moving into our next story, the Pentagon nominees blocked by GOP senator after pushing left-wing initiatives to reshape the military. They're hiring for diversity, folks. This is so scary. When you start messing with the military in this way, I don't approve. And some people might say, well, Brad, you were never in the military. That is true. I do support the military. I love our veterans. I love people that want to make the biggest sacrifice for our country and support our freedoms. But it doesn't mean I can't have an opinion based on it. So several of the military officers whose promotions are held up due to a senator's fight with the Pentagon have supported left-wing cultural stances and diversity initiatives, according to the Daily Caller News Foundation review of social media posts, Pentagon materials, and public footage. Republican of Alabama, Tommy Tuberville, has single-handedly blocked numerous officers' confirmations in protest of Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin's directive that we've covered here on the show. That guy he's out there, folks. He is out there. That the military fund out-of-state travel for female troops seeking abortions, initiating a game of chicken between Tuberville and the Pentagon that shows no signs of stopping. Yet several of the candidates in line for promotion have a history of making political statements and backed or spearheaded internal diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives related to race and sexuality, according to the Daily Caller News Foundation review of publicly available information. Now, I do want to make this point. Just because you have certain viewpoints that is outside of your work and profession, as long as you don't necessarily bring that into your work and profession, I think that's okay. In the same way here, I have a profession, but I don't bring what I do on the show here, or any of my ideology or anything I say and talk about here on the show, into my profession and my career. I have a very distinct separation between the two. So that, I think, is not what's happening here, or what you have Tommy Tuberville, again, the senator of Alabama, saying of like, there's a possibility of them implementing these initiatives and pushing this diversity hiring into our United States military, where we want the best qualified. I don't care what ethnicity you are, as long as you're qualified, as long as you can protect this country and not push these agendas in the military, I'm all for it. If you guys want to see a perfect example of how diversity hires go wrong, look at who's the leader of the free world's mouthpiece, Jean-Pierre. She sucks. I mean, everybody across the board agrees that woman sucks at her job. She's a diversity hire. You have Ketanji Brown Jackson, another diversity hire. What is she probably going to do at her job? She's probably going to suck at her job. She's probably going to push a left-wing agenda, because that's what diversity hires do. Wild. This is the day and age we live in, folks. There's actually a Supreme Court hearing that's going to be heard about affirmative action, by the way. I hope, and supposedly they're leaning towards, from what I've heard, not that I have any behind the scenes access, but through reading articles and stuff, is affirmative action is going to be donezo. Because you have Harvard and other these Ivy Leagues pushing in this diversity and screwing over people like Asians and others from getting in. I think affirmative action should be done away with 100%. I think it's racist. Comments by even a handful of the Biden Pentagon's general officer nominees are instructive as a defense policy, as opposed to mere talking points. You win on what you focus on. In other words, what the commander talks about typically becomes the focus for the unit writ large. For example, Tuberville's hold applies to Air Force General Charles Q. Brown, who was recently nominated to replace General Mark Milley as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, according to NBC News. Brown gained notoriety when he made a rare public statement on race in the midst of the nationwide rioting and protests following George Floyd's murder in 2020. In August, Brown ordered the Air Force's recruiting wing to cultivate an applicant pool that meets racial and gender percentage quotas. There you go. The order was meant to ultimately increase diversity in the Air Force itself. I hire for diversity, he told Air and Space Forces magazine in 2020. Nope, don't watch you, man. The second you start pushing that crap, I want everybody. I would love to have a diversified Air Force. I would love that, but I want it to happen naturally. If you don't meet the qualifications of it, then you can't get in. But what we're doing is we're diminishing qualifications. You see this a lot with gender in the military. We're lowering the standards for people to get in. They're actually doing that right now because the military is having issues, not just in terms of promotion and recruitment, but they're having issues with people's bodies because people are overweight. They're having issues with people getting in because of just the nature of which their own personal decision-making has disqualified them from thus getting into whatever they want to get into. So what we have to do is move around the quotas and shift everything around to make them eligible to get in the first place. And it just, it just spirals down from there. So additionally, with Brown as chief of staff, the Air Force commissioned a racial disparity review focusing on African Americans, along with a second study of disparities between people of other ethnic/gender identities and white heterosexual males, according to the interview with the U.S. News. So basically what they do with these studies, if they see any sort of disparity, a lot of these disparities will lead to some sort of racism. And so that's at least what the left will push, because there's a difference in, say, a lot of white people are joining the Air Force compared to the amount of black people joining the Air Force because of the disparity in numbers. Well, then all of a sudden now you have racism, or why aren't these African Americans or black people getting in? Why is it only white heterosexual males, or whatever it may be? I don't agree, and neither does Thomas Sowell, by the way, that just because you have a disparity, that disparities thus automatically equals racism. There's a lot of reasons for disparities. You have that personal idea and that personal belief of what people choose to opt into, but we always disqualify that as being something, whereas it just must be racism because people are choosing, or people aren't qualified in a certain way to be something, whatever they want to be. So let me know, again, do you think the military should hire diversity hires? Do you think the military should be focusing on diversity, or just focusing on, hey, you know what, you're qualified, you can get in, perfect. I don't care about your race, ethnicity, I care about your character and your qualifications. Let us know in the comment section below. Well, you guys are going to love this one. Oh, we saved the best for last. We got one here on Hunter Biden. We got another on Joe Biden's secret global phone, and then we got a Kevin McCarthy story for a little ending. So you guys said you wanted longer episodes. We're doing longer episodes, folks, and we're really going to break this one down. So Hunter Biden's attorney, amidst this whole thing with the WhatsApp scandal, with Joe Biden being in the room with Hunter Biden, when Joe Biden said he knew nothing about Hunter Biden's business dealings and all these things. You have this whistleblower that claims and talks about the 2017 message sent by Hunter. The attorney's blaming Hunter's addiction, on this whole thing. It's so, we'll break it down. It's kind of long. It's kind of lengthy, but we'll break it down. Actually, I'm going to do something I rarely do, because there's a lot of pictures of Hunter in here. I'm actually going to bring up the article while we go through it. So it says Hunter Biden's lawyer has blasted the account of an IRS whistleblower who testified about a WhatsApp message where he appeared to threaten a Chinese businessman and claiming to be seated with his powerful father. Lawyer Chris Clark, who negotiated a plea agreement on Hunter's behalf with the Justice Department, called the whistleblower biased and claimed the account covered, quote, a time of turmoil and addiction for the president's son. He's a victim, you guys. He's a victim. Oh, God, it's amazing how they spin this. He also disputed the veracity of Hunter's claims about now President Biden in the WhatsApp message, saying his words have no connection to anyone in his family. Does anybody believe that? This is his lawyer. This is his lawyer. The guy's getting paid probably a ton of money to come up with this crap. An extensive 5-year-long investigation conducted by the United States Department of Justice, there's a joke, concluded this week, which resulted in my client taking responsibility for 2 instances of misdemeanor failure to file tax payments, as well as a firearm charge, which will be subject to a paternal or pretrial diversion agreement, wrote Clark, following the House GOP charges that it amounted to a sweetheart deal. Everybody knows it's a sweetheart deal. Here's Hunter Biden himself. We had to blur out some of the stuff for you because it's too inappropriate for the internet. So I keep using the word wild because I don't have any other words. Insane, crazy, head spinning, alternate reality. Then he took on the claim about the WhatsApp message. This one is just, this was crazy. It's crazy. On a day when White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre was bombarded with questions about it, which she didn't answer. And it wasn't just her that was bombarded with questions, and we did cover this here on the Bald Brad Show. It was also John Kirby. So they didn't want to answer any questions. They were tight-lipped about this. Matter of fact, Karine Jean-Pierre won't even have a conversation with Joe Biden about this whole thing because she doesn't want to be implicated in this whole investigation. So as his attorney through this matter, I can say that any suggestion the investigation was not thorough or cut corners or cut my client any slack is preposterous and deeply irresponsible. Like, we're going to believe anything you say, man. Okay. We didn't cut corners yet. That's like what the whistleblower's coming out and saying. Come on. The DOJ investigation covered a period of time which is full of turmoil and addiction for my client. He's a victim, folks. He's a victim. Any verifiable words or actions of my client in the midst of a horrible addiction are solely his own and have no connection to anyone in his family. Hey, my dad's sitting next to me. If you don't do this, you're screwed. Yeah. Ooh. Nobody in his family. I mean, the only thing that could make this worse is if while the text message was sent, in between the text message was a photo of real time with Hunter Biden, with Joe Biden. That would make it just a sweeter deal. Then he went after the whistleblower, Supervisor IRS agent Gary Shapley, whose testimony was released by House Republicans this week and who claims to have run up against resistance while trying to push the Hunter Biden tax probe during the 2020 election season. 3 years ago, would have loved to know about it then. Statement from Chris Clark, counsel to Hunter Biden. Check this out. An extensive 5-year-long investigation conducted by the U.S. Department of DOJ, which is everything we just read, was biased and politically motivated, folks. Selective leaks have plagued this matter for years. They are not only irresponsible, they are illegal. Gee, I don't know, any of the pictures, documentation, video that we have of Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the Biden allegations, the Biden family corruption, none of that's illegal. No, we're not going to investigate that. And when we do know about it and we find out about it, you give him a sweetheart deal and you give him a pass-through. Nothing happens to him. Like him with the whole tax thing. Hunter Biden attorney responded to IRS agent testimony and refers to 2017 message suggesting a Joe Biden proximity to China deal. Quote, any verifiable words or actions of my client in the midst of a horrible addiction. I gotta keep reading it because it's so funny that literally he's trying to make Hunter Biden a victim here for his addiction. There's a spokesman for the White House counsel's office also hit back on the allegations. It's important to cover this because Ian Sams, again, part of the White House counsel, was the one that took questions outside of the White House after weeks-long push from White House reporters because they wouldn't answer any questions about the classified documents that Joe Biden just had laying everywhere. So Joe Biden had almost 2,000 documents just lying around when you had basically Donald Trump have like a Kleenex in a box with a stick drawing, and all of a sudden there was like nuclear codes for the Democrat Party and the progressive left, and they had lost their minds. But Joe Biden has thousands of documents laying everywhere, and nobody wants to raise an eyebrow about it of the Democrat Party. But they were keeping tight-lipped about it, so much so that literally Karine Jean-Pierre lied on the podium 4 times, which we did a whole series here. It's in our video catalog. Just search Bald Brad classified documents, you will find it, where she lied to the press and the press called her out on it. So she wouldn't acknowledge any of the classified documents in the press briefing. So they pushed for weeks and they finally got Ian Sams to answer some questions. I don't put that in air quotes because he didn't answer anybody's questions. So let's cover the White House counsel, because what Karine Jean-Pierre did the other day with John Kirby, she wouldn't answer any questions about this WhatsApp. She goes, go to the DOJ or the White House counsel. So here we go. As we have said many times before, the president was not in business with his son, said spokesperson Ian Sams. Anybody believe that here? Let us know in the live chat. Anybody believe that? Nobody does. As we have also said many times before, the Justice Department makes decisions in its criminal investigations independently. Yeah, okay. Come on, man. Come on. Can we read that again just because it's so funny? As we have also said many times before, the Justice Department makes decisions in criminal investigations independently. Oh my God, it's insane. As the president has said, he loves his son and is proud of him. God, if your kid did something really horrible, folks, would you be proud of him? That's what's going on here. He's proud of him accepting responsibility for his actions and is proud of what he is doing to rebuild his life. Okay. All right, I don't know if I believe that one, but okay. I mean, does Joe Biden really know what's going on? I mean, here's the thing. I've said this time and time again. Joe Biden can't be indicted or implicated for anything because this ain't working. All he has to say is, I don't remember. I made fixie. I made duty. It gotta be fixed. I don't think he knows what's going on, you guys. It's tough to sit there and have intent when somebody's brain ain't working properly. And that's when they release everything to us, right? Massive criminal investigation going on. Here's a conspiracy theory for you. Massive allegations, everything taking place. And then they can't get Joe Biden because they come out with his records. He's not going to run for 2024 because everything's going to come out at the end. And they're going to go, he's demented. He's completely gone. He's completely gone out there in the ether. He doesn't even know his name anymore. We tried to get him to tie his shoes during this screening. He couldn't tie his shoes. He couldn't wipe his own ass. So, I mean, how are we going to put the guy in jail when he don't even know? He don't know nothing. It happened. The statement did not state whether or not Biden was or was not seated next to his son at the time of Hunter Biden's message, although DailyMail.com has obtained a photo from the same day as the July 30th, 2017 message to the Chinese Communist Party official Henry Zhao showing Biden outside his Wilmington home. It's like what I said. I said the only thing that could make this better is in between the text messages, you had a photo of Joe Biden sitting next to Hunter Biden. It's pretty much what we have. Joe Biden roaming the lawn in the backyard, figuring out how the hell to get off his property because you don't know where the hell he's at. Oh, God. I love reading this stuff in real time because you get a real-time reaction from me. I don't think it's fair to read an entire article and then to kind of fake all this stuff. You're getting real-time stuff from me. This is so baffling. This is so baffling. The White House has previously said Biden never spoke with his son about his overseas business dealings. And you had James Rosen the other day ask John Kirby as well as Karine Jean-Pierre and other reporters asked her this question going like, do you take that back? Like, do you take back what you said about Joe Biden? Because both Karine Jean-Pierre echoed this as well as Joe Biden did about, oh, I never spoke with my son about business dealings. And now we have all these records for like years, by the way, years that Joe Biden knew about his son, Hunter Biden's business dealings. And if you haven't seen that episode where we went from 2010 to 2023 of the Biden family corruption, highly recommend you check out that video because it shows pretty much that Joe Biden knew everything that was going on. He's the big man. He's the chief. He was in emails. The problem is that we saw the same type of line of emails and stuff going on with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. A very similar analogy goes with Eric Holder and Barack Obama, where there's emails back and forth and nothing happened to them. If you want to know a phenomenal book that definitely implicates Obama as well as Attorney General Eric Holder on a lot of things, read The People vs. Barack Obama, written by Ben Shapiro, a lawyer. Phenomenal book, completely destroys and shellacks Barack Obama's administration. Literally emails going back and forth in the same way Hillary Clinton and emails going back and forth. Nothing happened to them. Nothing's going to happen to Joe Biden. But that's kind of what's going on here. I wanted to kind of give you that little funny comedic moment where now Hunter Biden's he's a victim because of his addiction. Well, it's his addiction that he wrote that text message. Sure it was. Him snorting freaking cheese off a rug. Oh, cocaine off a tripper's ass. Yeah, sure. Yeah, he's the victim of all this. Sure. So the whole thing continues with the Biden family corruption. Now, supposedly, there was a secret global phone Biden uses vice president. It's amazing. It's amazing. You know who had something secret in their bathroom and there was a server and got bleach bit and wiped and cell phones destroyed with hammers? Hillary Clinton. Did anything happen to Hillary? Nope. So this reveals tight communications with foreign nationals. Gee, who was a foreign national with the Burisma thing? Oh, that was a little one. Or who was the foreign national that literally fabricated the Russian hoax that was being paid by the FBI and the Hillary Clinton campaign. Oh, so it's all shaping up here. A lot of foreign nationals playing into this stuff, and now Joe Biden supposedly has a secret phone. Then Vice President Joe Biden allegedly used a secret global cell phone paid by Hunter Biden's business. Oh, what could that business be? Would this be the business possibly that was connected to Burisma and all this corruption that was going on? Let's find out. This was according to a Government Accountability Institute Peter Schweitzer. Schweitzer, who has documented the Biden family's alleged multiple financiers directly tied to Chinese Communist Party intelligence officials, while Hunter Biden, during and after the Obama administration, said on Fox News Sunday that the nonprofit organization discovered the private phone line for Hunter Biden's infamous laptop. Oh, the laptop that we were told didn't exist for years. So much so that 17 to 20% of the population would have switched their vote to Trump if they would have known, or would have switched their vote, at least to vote Republican at the end of the day. But we were told that it was Russian disinformation because they're still pushing this Russian hoax. Durham literally said with verifiable proof that the hoax was just that, a witch hunt. It was a hoax. The whole story was fabricated. A dude made it up and he was paid for it, by the way. He was offered money by the FBI. He made this shit up. And now we're just talking about it like, oh, hey, the laptop. Yep, the laptop had all this information. Of course it did. Check this out. Oh, baby, we're going to find out if we're right about Burisma. Quote, and that may be the phone, for example, that the Ukrainian Burisma executive might have used in this allegation that he talked to Joe Biden in recorded conversations, which we did cover here on the Bald Brad Show, going from 2010 again to 2023, exposing the Biden family corruption. According to Schweitzer, the global phone was serviced through American multinational telecommunications company AT&T for $300 a month that could access somebody anywhere around the world. Schweitzer shared the phone number and account information with the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, hoping lawmakers would subpoena internal records on the account. Quote, I think it will give an indication on how tight the communication was. Schweitzer update on the latest developments in the Hunter Biden investigation comes days after House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith released a WhatsApp message, which we covered here, obtained by IRS investigators looking at Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings. So, you think anything's going to come of it? I don't know. But there's some more information I kind of want to go over here regarding this whole Biden family corruption, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, this whole shenanigans that's taking place. So Smith released whistleblower testimonies on Thursday of last week from IRS agents who allege that the Justice Department has interfered in the investigation into Hunter and it suppresses evidence of the first son's misdeeds. That sounds a lot like the suppression of that 1023 document that you had Comey say wasn't real. And Chuck Grassie's like, I've read it. I got it right here, knucklehead. I got it right here and I've read it. You're going to sit there and lie to my face, and all of a sudden Comey's like, oh yeah, I guess it is real. Guess it is real. But we're not suppressing the information about the first son's misdeeds, meaning Hunter Biden. In part of the testimony from IRS Criminal Supervisory Special Agent Gary Shapley, the IRS agent claimed that investigators uncovered a July 30th, 2017 WhatsApp message that Hunter sent to Henry Zhao, a CEO of Harvest Fund Management. A lot of communication with the Chinese. You notice that? A lot of communication with the Chinese. There's so much. We've said time and time again, one of our theories here is that that's why Joe Biden is so soft on the Chinese Communist Party, is because of how much dirt they have on this guy. They got files. They got boxes full of just Joe Biden, Hunter Biden implication on them doing some shady business dealings, allegedly. It's amazing how much information we have regarding Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the Biden family corruption, the business dealings that's going on, all the shady stuff, compared to like what we knew about with Trump and Russia was like literally nothing, to the point where he was raided, to the point where like everybody's looked under everything, including Melania's underwear, and found absolutely nothing. But somehow Donald Trump's the most corrupted man that's ever existed on this planet. But yet you have all this information about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, and he's not corrupted at all. Nothing at all. Quote, I am sitting here with my father and we would like to... So funny to me. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because just the last article we read, the lawyer was like, well, he's addicted. He's a drug addict. And nobody could really say that that was geared towards any of his family members. Freaking first sentence. I'm sitting here with my father. And by the way, there was also a photo of Joe Biden on property behind his son. And we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Oh, God, I'm sweating. Smith told Fox News on Friday that between 2014 and 2019, the Biden family allegedly took in more than $17 million through Hunter Biden and his associates from foreign nationals. Mind you, Hunter Biden doesn't know anything about anything, and somehow he's getting $17 million. He said that roughly $8.3 million Hunter received came as its items and gifts. For example, he got $80,000 diamond and a Porsche worth $142,000 from countries such as China, Russia, Romania. Folks, you know how corrupt these countries are? How corrupt their judicial system and everything is? I mean, that was Burisma was a natural gas company, and that's why they were being investigated by Shokin, was because of how corrupt Ukraine was in their business dealings. And so Burisma was one of those companies that was being investigated, one, because you had Joe Biden as vice president, and that could influence foreign policy in terms of decision-making with natural gas and getting into markets like the United States, which is why he's being investigated. But also, why the hell was Hunter Biden and Archer, his business partner, on the board of Burisma in the first place, and what were their qualifications for? So all that was being investigated. Joe Biden didn't like that. He's saying, hey, you're not going to get $1 billion loan here unless you fire this guy. And so he fired him and did nothing wrong, which we played the tapes. It's absolutely unconscionable, Smith said. Hunter's attorney did not deny the authenticity of the WhatsApp message in a statement to Fox News, though he suggested that it was misleading or could be faked. Well, the saga continues on the Biden family corruption. We'll see if anything comes of it. We have a bonus story, a bonus headline here for you all, folks. Kevin McCarthy says he'll start impeachment of Attorney General Merrick Garland by July 6th. I wish it was the 4th. Can you imagine the 4th with the fireworks, right? The theatrics of it all. That's an Independence Day for you, folks. So by July 6th, over bombshell IRS whistleblower testimony that he interfered in criminal investigation in Hunter Biden. So we're going to break this down for you, folks. Longer episode. This is what a lot of you asked for. I hope you're enjoying it. Hit that like and subscribe button. Folks, become a member. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It's $4.99 a month, folks. You're paying more for these subscription services that are sending out these woke agendas and supporting these woke leftists that literally want to go after your children. Quote from them, "We're coming for your children. I'm not coming for your children. I am supporting you and your ideas and your thoughts. We would love for you to join our community. Become an American Patriot today. Link is down below, or hit that join tab. We would love to have you." So House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says Republicans will begin an impeachment inquiry into Attorney General Merrick Garland by July 6th following bombshell IRS whistleblower testimony that the top Justice Department official interfered in the criminal investigation of Hunter Biden. Let's break this down. The Republicans plan to take this action following new allegations by IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley, a 14-year veteran of the agency, claiming that Hunter Biden has been given preferential treatment by investigators looking into his tax affairs and lying on a gun permit application. A lot of people said it was a sweetheart deal. Everybody across the board was like, whoa, this is wild. Even some of the mainstream outlets were like, this is a little bit much. Like, what the hell are you doing? Talk about patriarchy. Talk about the white privilege aspect from the progressive leftist ideology. I mean, they got nothing to say about this, really, right? Where's the leftist taking to the streets that this guy got off all the way that you have black people getting imprisoned for the exact same thing, but Hunter Biden gets let go. Typical. Shapley pointed to a WhatsApp message, which we've covered time and time again in today's episode, on July 30th, 2017, by Hunter Biden, the Chinese Communist Party official Henry Zhao, threatening to follow his orders and saying his dad was with him. Shapley alleges he raised concerns about the WhatsApp message to DOJ prosecutors, and now we're getting this whole shebang here. So McCarthy said this in a tweet. Let's pull this up for you. "We need to get to the facts, and that includes reconciling these clear disparities. U.S. Attorney David Weiss must provide answers to the House Judiciary Committee. If the Whoa, here we go. Pull it, I guess. I didn't think that link would take to this. If the whistleblower's allegations are true, this will be a significant part of the larger impeachment inquiry into Merrick Garland's weaponization of the DOJ." Absolutely love it. So we get that letter here. We get that notice. Here's the text message that supposedly was fabricated that isn't real. Hunter Biden's face on it. Look at that. Not real. Not real whatsoever. So by July 6th, because of the allegations by the IRS, because of the whistleblower and the DOJ, Garland, what he is saying and what David Weiss is saying privately are two different things, the speaker said. So basically what you have is, according to the whistleblower, Weiss is stating that subsequently asked for special counsel authority from Maine DOJ at the time and was denied that authority. So there's an implication here from Garland, who publicly defended himself on Friday, saying that Weiss was given complete authority to make all decisions of his own, which is why you have Kevin McCarthy saying, well, that's not what Weiss is saying. Weiss is saying one thing, and you're saying a whole different other thing. And if Weiss wasn't given complete authority in terms of his own decision-making, then what was blocking him in terms of that decision-making? And that's kind of why we lead into this whole claim here. So, quote, I don't know how it would be possible for anybody to block him from bringing a prosecution, Garland told reporters. Some have chosen to attack the integrity of the Justice Department by claiming that we do not treat cases alike. And you don't. I mean, that's clear as hell as day you don't. This constitutes an attack on an institution that is essential to American democracy. Everybody agrees it's essential to American democracy, but what you have done with this institution has completely crippled it. I mean, you're going after a sitting president. That's never been done in human history. Don't tell me that you don't treat cases alike. This is such BS. I'm trying not to cuss here. So the speaker alluded, basically, to kind of wrap this up, the speaker alluded that the House might move forward on impeachment articles in a tweet over the weekend, which we just showed you. And you also have Cruz adding in regarding this whole thing of basically Merrick Garland doing things differently, possibly getting in between Weiss and others. We're going to see if anything comes about of it. There's not much information just because it seems kind of breaking, but you might have an impeachment inquiry coming in here from Kevin McCarthy anytime soon. So let me know what you think. I mean, not a ton of information for me to really have a full concrete opinion in terms of should Merrick Garland be impeached or not. There's definitely a lot of speculation. Really, in terms of how he's handling his job, being politicized, definitely. I think he's had conversations with Joe Biden about who to go after. I think there's a huge corruption scandal going on within our government that spreads across bureaus and platforms. I think that crosses not just in the Congress, but also the executive branch, into the FBI, into the DOJ, into the White House counsel. I think there's a lot of corruption going on. I think it's under wraps. I think it's being thrown under the rug, which we've seen from the White House going dark and all this stuff. I want to know what you think about everything in the comment section below, folks. Become an American patriot today. Join our community. We got a freaking awesome community that would love for you to join us in the live chat in the comment section. Comment on each other's. You get cool badges. I try my best to respond or like your comments above everybody else's. We would love to have you be a part of our community of true American patriots. Become a member today. If you're subscribed to Disney Plus or these other left-wing outlets, we would love to have you here. Support a true American patriot today. Get yourself a copy of Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America, even if you don't read it, folks. Heck, have it in your house. You are supporting a patriot. Get yourself a signed copy on baldbread.com or Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart. We do sell it everywhere and anywhere online for the most part. Not Target, though, folks. We are not selling this bad boy in Target because Target supports a woke agenda, folks. Baldbread.com also has shirts, merch. Get yourself a coffee mug, folks. We drink coffee. If you know anybody that wants to support the show that's a coffee maker, we would love to fill this nice mug up with a delicious American coffee. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a ton of comments down below. And folks, I'll see you tomorrow here on